Xfinity and ESEA.
Welcome back to the Xfinity Analyst Desk. Xfinity Analyst Desk. Something along those lines. It's close. Yeah,
close.
Whatever. Well, what can you say about that one, boys?
Okay, we can go the approach of just full-on panic. Should we do that? Just to kick things off?
I wouldn't mind seeing you just go in full-blown panic mode.
Yeah, no, okay, let's, play devil's advocate here and just say that this is what we expected to see, because we talked about yesterday what kind of issues it could be bringing into the lineup, obviously. One of them was communication, but another point that not necessarily too many people talked about was the fact that removing Taco might remove some of the firepower or, I guess, freedom that Coldzera had. And obviously, we know Coldzera been the best player on SK, been the best player in the world for the last 2 years, and now he had a bit of a stinker of a game, and you never really say that about Coldzera. Regardless of how poorly SK does, he'll always get he'll do his part. He didn't do anything at all this game.
Yeah, 5 and 14 pimp, 52 ADR. Do you chalk any of that up to Taco missing?
I wouldn't. Yeah, obviously.
Let's go full panic mode. Let's go full panic mode.
The obvious big problem right here is one, communication. You can see the way SK, what made them the best team in the world was the fact that they could always adapt. They're one of the teams out there in the world who always adapted to however the other team played, and they always found a solution within the round. Always winning the 3 versus 3 situations, always able to bring back a 2 versus 4 or something like that by great communication. That is completely out of the water now with Stewie 2K on the lineup, especially when he's alive, and that's a big problem. Second off, Tackle, no longer being on the team. Yeah, it does remove, wouldn't necessarily say freedom from Coldzera, but it puts him in positions that he's not used to. And if there's anything Coldzera is, then that's good, obviously, at the game. But he's a very, he needs to know where he's being put. He does the same thing over and over again. That's how he practices well. He even talked about it officially. When he plays matchmaking, he plays the same position over and over again. So he always knows what to do in the exact same position. Now he's being put into new positions all over the map, especially on train. So there's so many things that SK has to figure out now, and that's probably why they're starting out so slow. And with the fact that they're communicating in English right now, and with no offense, the SK players are not the greatest guys at speaking English right now. They may get better in the future and learn it, right? But as of right now, they just lost the playoff spot in ESL Pro League, and that is a big no-no.
Can we really chalk a lot of these issues up to communication when they have 4 players who are Brazilian and speak Portuguese that have been, on a team? They've been practicing together for years. They have some of the strategies still.
I mean, you could go the cliche route of saying you're as strong as your weakest link, right?
Yeah.
And in that sense, now it's not necessarily the fact that Stewie's a poor individual player, because that's just a straight up lie, right? But you remove the team aspect of SK, just becomes significantly weakened for the time being. And obviously that's been your backbone. That's been what you've been able to ride out rough situations.
Let's not forget that Taco was the player who sort of defined what is a support player. He was very vocal about it. The SK were very vocal about it. Taco does exactly this stuff for us, because a lot of people were hating on him in terms of he's not having the best stats out there, not really doing good. But he was literally defining, how it is to be a support player on a top team that won everything, and that's gone from now. Who's going to be the support player of SK? That could be Bolts, but is he does he have the mentality for that? Because he used to be one of the star players in his former teams, So I see a lot of missing links right here in SK, and this is just a great showcase of this is going to be a project and a long-term project, because this is not going to work the next 2 weeks.
It's kind of cool, because this will be, if these struggles continue, we can actually see the result of having one of the best teams in the world, and then you take away the support player and the impact that can have on how they play. Let's head to the next match. The pre-match for the map is going to be Overpass between OpTic and SK. One more map between the two of them, but let's talk this time more about OpTic Gaming and the kind of the positives that we saw of them in that map, because that was, as much as we talk about the struggles of SK, that was incredible from OpTic.
Yeah, no, it's super good, and again, we got to see more people than just one player coming out from them to play well. Obviously, Cade, pretty crazy. Second round, pistol round to kind of start things off for them. But yeah, the fact that we got to see Stanislav contributing from a fragging point of view, he hasn't necessarily done that all too much with the new lineup. But I can definitely see that from an in-game leader's point of view. That does require a lot more adjustments before you can kind of start focusing on your own game when you're a completely new team trying to come together. But they've, you're finally seeing them reaping the rewards of the fact that they've gone to train so many times in Pro League already. Usually they started out their series by picking train, losing that, and then winning the opponent's maps, which is fine, if that's how you want to go about it, as long as you pick up W, that you're moving forward at least. But the fact that they've been able to kind of, again, get in tune with each other on train, actually being able to play multiple styles, not necessarily just get stuck in that way where they only pick up rounds if they go extremely fast. Now they've actually been able to slow down the tempo. They are able to deal with aggression. You mentioned this when we were sitting in the back room talking about the game, how whenever SK wanted to play aggressively, and yes, this could be the fault of SK not necessarily having well-prepared aggression, but nonetheless, OpTic were able to deal with it. That's something they've not been very good at initially. When they've given up a lot of map control, they run into issues. And this time you saw them, for example, Fur, known for being inside of Popdog, he didn't really get anything out of that most of the time.
Yeah.
And OpTic actually had the utility and flashes and actually timed it properly to actually get map control back.
Well, even Pimp, the first time we saw this team in week 1, they looked horrendous, which I guess you could expect bringing in 3 Danes and having a whole new lineup. We knew they were going to look a little disorganized. They've obviously put some work in over these past few weeks.
They sure have, and they talk a lot about it on social medias as well, how they constantly progress, how they constantly practice. And one of the good things about having 3 Danes over there, something that is a little bit underrated, I guess, is the worth ethic they bring with them. Because obviously, neither Cajun, Config, or Gate would go over there and invest their entire life into living in the States and breathing Counter-Strike, basically, and not, do their absolute best to make it work. And I remember having that same mentality when I got into Liquid. The only problem for me in that sense was that there was 4 NA guys already there, and they had, but they had like their life routines, and it was tough to do anything about that, Whereas these 3 Danes are coming in with full fire, and they're 3 against 2. If somebody don't want to practice, they tell them, we're going to go practice now. If they don't want to have a 10-hour day practice day, we're going to do that, because we're here for only playing Counter-Strike, basically, and getting that experience out. So OpTic should be one of those teams that are going to put in the most hours, and despite the lineup might not be the best assembled lineup in that sense, role-wise and personality-wise, there's still so much potential in each of these players, and if they just practice enough, I see them having a decent future at least.
Yeah, I mean, this is a team that you guys, I think at the beginning of the season, they were picked by every analyst to make it into the playoffs, and they're still sitting, I think it was 4th place or something like that at the beginning of the day. Are they going to climb? Is this going to be one of the best contenders in North America by the end of the season?
I mean, considering how up and down every team seemingly has been in Pro League so far, I wouldn't put it past them. But again, they have also been guilty of doing that exact same thing. As we mentioned, the fact that they haven't been able to necessarily win their own map picks to start the season off. They've been relying on actually taking map picks away.
Well, they are Danish. We can't expect too much.
Exactly. Everything comes in limitations. But no, if this is kind of the turnarounding point, I think every other team has been chaotic enough to the point where they could be looking at a 3rd place, for instance, getting into the World Finals with a 3rd seed. I think it's going to be tough to manage to catch up to Liquid and Energy, because they really haven't slowed down at all. Sure, like one of the teams or maybe both of them are going to take a bit of a hit later today, but they've still, managed to accrue such a big lead down to the next couple of teams that I think should be all right.
It's early on in this team's lifespan, but are we going to imagine seeing OpTic being able to compete on the international scale as well?
That's the problem I have with OpTic. I think the limit goes within NA region. They can be one of the dominant teams within NA, maybe not on the same level as Cloud9, SK, and Liquid for that matter, but be that 4th or 5th team fighting it out with Energy in the future. But considering them going up against some of the best European teams, I don't see the consistency around this lineup to do that. The skill is definitely there as an upset team. They will always be a dangerous team to face, because they can take off a map of everyone, basically, just off the fact they have Cajun, they have Config, they have such skilled individuals. But as a team, there's just so much. I know the players, I know them personally as well. There's so much tensions going on within the team. I could imagine that is going to be tough to see them, over a longer period of time, when they do face struggles, as every team does, solve them out as the guys they should be doing it. I feel OpTic is one of those teams that's always going to be dangerous to face, but never going to be a consistent top 5 team in the world.
Yeah, I put my cap on OpTic being they're going to make quarterfinals, and they could potentially mess up one of the tournament favorites runs. But that's where it is. Exactly. Okay. They're not going to go further than that. Maybe they end up in a semifinals, get stomped by whoever they play there.
Sort of like the old OpTic, the European version. They did the exact same thing, went to the quarterfinals, and maybe ruined one of the favorites group stage place. And that was it. You never saw more potential than that, and it's probably going to be around the same thing for this one.
Well, we're going to play a little game of deja vu, because we're going to go to Overpass. Is going to be that second map, and another map that at one point was like the keystone to SK's map pool. They were just dominant on it. Now
I love the fact that you can actually say that a lot of maps.
Yeah, you can actually. Like different eras, right? But certainly Train and Overpass are probably the 2 most well-known, I think, for SK throughout their 2-year kind of run. Surely it's not going to be that bad. Surely.
You say that.
I'm just inviting it now.
I'm really worried, honestly, for SK, because what we saw in Train, obviously, that's not great. And again, Overpass is not from a technical point of view, not an easy map to play. And again, communication becomes a big part of this. I do think they can get further with their basic default setup on T side than what they can on Train.
I gotta cut you off and have you wrap your prediction to it, because we're gonna be getting pretty soon.
All right, so short end of the stick. SK has to win, so that's why I'm going to side with them, because like if they don't, they're not going to make playoffs.
It's a beautiful thing. Yeah. Pimp, you going to go with SK again?
I use the same logic. They has to win, but I don't think they're going to do it. Config just dropped 47 frags on this map a week ago. He's going to do something along the same lines now.
Something a little bit dirty too.
Something along the same.
All right. Well, yeah, looking like playoff heartbreak for SK and ESL Pro League. Yeah, same system again. I'm just going to wander over with Harry. We'll bring him here right at the end. You feeling?
How are you doing, Harry?
Ooh, are you trying to steal his job?
No, that was cool. Just ask a question.
Just answer.
You just avoided the question.
So how are you doing, Jerry?
I'm feeling good. I'm excited for this one.
Why is that?
Well, just because, as you guys have been kind of reiterating, right, SK, they have to win, or else they're not going to make playoffs. It's pretty scary. And
Because a good map is a quick map.
There we go.
you know what, Jason? Couldn't have said it better myself there. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited for this one. SK, can they recover OpTic? They looked utterly fantastic on a train. Just moments ago, it was a very, very one-sided affair there. And, well, now SK trying to answer back. Can we see these names that, you know, I mean, all of them have, you know, major titles. I'm fairly certain now at this point. Everyone in this team is like a major title attributed to them. So,
Except Bolts.
that's very true. Yeah, sorry, second.
It's all right.
But yeah, close enough.
That's what I'm here for.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, freeze time is dwindling. OpTic going to start on the CT side of Overpass, and boy, do SK need a good start after getting walloped 2-16 on train. If you missed that one, you didn't miss a whole lot. It was just slaughter. And it looks like SK, between maps, they just say, let's go back to the basics. Let's go for a heavy play towards this B bomb site. Gade could get caught out depending on the timing. I think some of this push up towards Sandbags has been spotted, though. You could see Gade and Stanislav falling back. Here comes the Molotov towards Toxic Barrels. The boost up. Gade's blind. He's going to peek up. Will he be able to find anything? Yes. He'll find a bullet in the face from Coldzera. And all of SK gets aggressive towards the choke point. And that should, just like that, seal the pistol round.
Yeah, just Cage and B and Config left. And, you know, he obviously did break the record for most kills in a game in regulation on this map just last week, and he gets himself 2. But that's it. Just like that, SK, they're on to their first round. They win the pistol, and already they're close to getting more rounds than they got on the entire of the last map.
Yeah, they're halfway there, aren't they?
Yeah.
Nice pistol round. Fortunate with the timing of when that boost was coming in. Flashbang catching Gade and denying him a lot of information. But well done from SK. 3 MAC-10s, 2 UMPs, and again heavy towards that B bomb site. 4 players going this way. It's going to be Bolts towards Danger Stairs, and immediately Stanislav goes on. He's good damage onto Fur, makes some double kill potential, but Fur backs away. Close up, there's the P250 of Cage and V going to work, but unfortunately it's only the 1 frag he's going to get so far, and SK has all their bases covered. It's going to be a plant, it's going to be a second round.
Yeah, there's no way back into this for Config nor Shazam. Config, he just like, he looks so keen on this map, you know. Oh, there you go, second. I was going to say maybe a third. Fur was very, very low. And that's the second time, even in the pistol, he does the exact same. Just finds 2 there in from connector. He just exudes confidence.
Yeah, he's feeling it these days, isn't he? Those are pretty nice shots. But he actually takes out Fur there with 9 HP, just 1 bullet even to little toes. Finds himself in a one-on-one with time to defuse still, so that could have been dangerous for SK. Upgrading to the AK-47s, having to dig into the wallets a little bit due to some of those kills. Gonna switch to the other side of the map. 1 flashbang as well, and all of OpTic is here. When does it come in? It's thrown now. Everyone's blind, pushing up, so is Gade. No one's cleared out Coldzera. No one even looks to the left. He's gonna get a couple free kills before being taken down. And then Gade and Cajun pounce and find 2 of their own, but no chance of building upon that. Quickly into the gun rounds as SK go 3 for 0.
But now we see the buy come in for OpTic, and this is a chance for them to try and start to get back to the form we saw on Train. Start to put some numbers up versus SK. Fur's going to keep the MAC-10. Always love to see that. For me, that kind of suggests, you know, not only do they want to go for a bit of a bonus round here, but it also at least leads you to believe that maybe he's kind of feeling a bit more confident than he was over on Train. You know, not giving the respect away of OpTic to upgrade onto a rifle.
Well, as well, I mean, if anyone's going to be able to bounce back, it would be such experienced players of SK, right? Those guys know how to do it. I think more than anything, it is just that simple bonus round. And also, the reason why they lost Train, in my opinion, was the money troubles they ran into in that first half. So this is a chance for them to avoid at least a minimal amount of that. OpTic. Passive defense over towards the B bomb site. No one peeking into Monster, and SK staying very grouped up, focusing on trading. 3 smokes and 2 Molotovs still for the defense. Doubled up at the Toxic Barrels. There is a Molotov on Fallen and Coldzera, so that could get blocked out. And here comes Gade. He wants to go for the peak. There's a flashbang there, and Fur's going to lead the way with the MAC-10, so Here comes the hit. Big round for SK.
Yeah, they're going to go pushing in. KGB opens up with 2. Walt's going to try and answer back, but he goes down. It all falls onto Fallen. 1v3. Starts to make his way out from Monster. There's Shazam up in heaven. Stan inside the site and Config over on short. This is a terrifying trifecta to try and make your way into, and Shazam will shut him down. So OpTic in with their first round. They managed to pick it up. 3 players survived. They can drop weapons over to those who went down. And now for SK, a bit of an awkward spot. They will be able to get a bye together. It's not going to be anything too amazing, as you do have 2 players relegated down to Galil's. Fallen has the AWP though, which is always nice. We hardly saw him with that over on Train. He's already had it a decent bit thus far. Had it in the previous round and now he's got it once again. But Config, look at this. This man, he knows no bounds. He is full of courage, full of beans, and he's looking to try find some success over him here. They've got no idea. Look at how far forward he's gone, Config. This is massive, but Fur has an inkling that something might be going off. Fur, of course, is no stranger to going into those hyper-aggressive positions, and he reads it well.
That's a high-risk, high-reward situation for Config, especially if you don't clear out that playground. And in that kind of a choke point, you don't really... You have to pick one, right? You have to either move forward or look behind you. Either way, either place could have a terrorist, so he gets caught out. Gives a lot of time and a lot of freedom for Fallen to stay perched up here. Last round, this hit towards the B bomb site from SK was stopped just by a timely smoke, I think from Gade in towards Monster. It may not happen here with Cage and B close up, although he does have smoke Molotov. Gade as well, still holding on to it. It's going to be a contact play. They're not going to have the luxury. There's the Molotov. There's the flashbangs over. They're forced away initially. Cajun with the off angle is going to get one, but can't follow it up. And Fallen's picked off his teammate. Shazam's got to do work at range with the AWP, and he's got to keep re-peeking back into it. But he knows Fallen at some point is going to have the angle, and he didn't want to do it, but he had to. And Shazam goes down, and Stanislaw has got to bail out. The B defense for OpTic gets run over. It'll be a 4th round for SK. It'll be interesting to see what OpTic decide to do. They don't have a great amount of money, and Fur's already on the hunt for this last M4.
Yeah, Stan's hoping he can grab this AWP that currently resides up in heaven. coldzera inside the site still could cause him some problems, although Cold looking like he's going to have to start to back off any second now. Stan's been given the ability to go ahead and grab this AWP. There is still Fur up on the A-bomb site. He's actually very close to him, but the AWP gets blown his way. And OpTic, well, they forego that round. SK going to be up 4-1. Question is now, do you like to force buy around this? I think if you're OpTic, you know, you just play things safe. They can get a buy to the next round. Stand by some extra utility. Config has armor along with the CZ, but yeah, they play it safe. They're going to try and use Stan as a catalyst. They have him on his own, on his lonesome rather, over towards long. He's going to try his hand at some aggression in SK. There are players here to keep an eye on this. They have to be careful. No one's nearby to actually retrieve that AWP if Stan goes down, so it's quite the gamble having him here on his own.
Ooh, he's going to be upset he missed that shot, but come at the king and you best not miss. coldzera drops him with an immediate headshot. And the 4 players of OpTic towards the B-bomb site, so the gamble doesn't pay off. As you said, no one there to salvage it means they've lost the weaponry. Bolts might have a chance here to pad the stats. Didn't have a great train, but this could put him on the right foot here in danger stairs. There's the door opening. There's the first kill. Can find the second one, but it took just too long. He does get traded away, and coldzera now in position. I think Gade, his entire mind is set on saving the rifle, and actually, there goes coldzera. Shazam just crouching around the corner. And it's not like SK have built up a treasure trove. They're running pretty low on cash as well. Fur at 200, coldzera at 650. They need these rifles to stay alive so they don't have to rebuy them.
Yeah, which is why it's risky now, even that Fur continues to start pushing forward. I mean, if he goes down, then that's some real economic woes being transferred onto SK once again. I mean, we'll just have to play things safe. 3 players surviving for SK, 2 for OpTic. Behind in the next round was coming through anyway. And actually, holding on to these rifles is very good because Shazam and Stan were both looking pretty limited in terms of what they could get into this round. And now they can go ahead and drop these rifles over. Shazam keeps one. Gade throws the AK over to Stan. You imagine this how this goes, and then that way everyone has a rifle. And and accompanying a belt of utility to go with it, and that's exactly going to be what's happening. So rifles across the board for OpTic. SK still have the AWP on Fallen. They've reinvested, and as you can see, the economy, as you said, it's hardly a treasure trove, but a little bit of extra money on Fallen and Furt from saving in that previous round. And not going on the hunt does bode well for them. Look at this aggression from Stewie.
He's taken over control pretty quickly. Again, for the moment with SK, it seems like he's just being plugged into Taco's positions. I'm wondering how quickly or even if that will change moving forward for SK, but I think that's the question everyone's asking. I guess it won't really be answered until there's a little bit of time off for this team to put some work into it. Fallen boosted up and over. Going to see absolutely nothing. And SK actually has pretty decent map control, all things considered. They know long is clear to a certain point. They know early on in bathrooms is pretty clear. Config going to go hunting, and again, it's all down to him and versus Fur. What's the timing? And it's Fur again who wins out. Config has to commit to that fight, and Stewie picks off one. Stanislaw going for some information. Even Fallen so quickly, 3 kills just get rattled off for SK, and it's just Gade alone in this B bomb site. Cajun's rotating here, but I don't think they can actually stop anything. Bolts is going to get at least one. And SK has their pick of how they want to win this round, and Gade forced away, but the bomb is going to be planted over at A. And he's also trapped, so no real chance of him saving the rifle either.
Yeah, he's stuck between a rock and a hard place. And as Fur swoops on him from behind, now I'm going to look to try and just pick the corpse of Gade dry. Yeah, that's what gives it up. We know where he is. Stewie does fall in the process, but okay, he's going to keep creeping forward. I mean, even if he's able to hold into the AK, that is almost like a miniature miracle. But there's no way. Fallen able to pick that up, no problem. Just like that, SK propelled forward onto another round. 6-1. No money left for OpTic into this one. They could partial buy down on a couple of these players, but that is going to be it. SK poised to pick up a 7th, and this is a fantastic recovery from SK. You know, almost like an entirely different team in comparison to what we saw on Train, really.
Yeah, well, we called it deja vu in the analyst desk. It's looking like it could be here as well in the actual game itself. So, a bit wild as OpTic haven't found their footing quite yet. Stewie waiting for the push. He knows it's coming. Stanislaw is going to be the first victim. That shot continues the spray just in case, but it's not that close up. And as he reloads, he should be able to get Gade as well. Actually just retreats up the staircase, and coldzera not aware of it. I feel like he should have known, but it doesn't really matter. Not too much Gade can do from here. Again, even with that 1 kill, he's blocked in. The door's open, spamming through. He finds one more. Bolts over aggressive, and now he's found an avenue out. He knows where Stewie was. Now he knows where he is, but can't win the fight. 3 kills for Stewie in the round, and SK up to a very big lead, 7-1. And OpTic going to get back into the rifles, back into the AWP on Shazam as well, which will be nice.
Now, this is an interesting change from OpTic. 4 players down towards B early on, with Shazam looking like he maybe wanted to try peeking out through mid, but instead going to hold off over in the toilets. Config's boosted up here. Going to catch the timing down onto Stewie, and just like that, Manivage picked up for OpTic. They'll take that all day long. And that's kind of forced SK's hand away from this B bomb site over into middle. There's 3 of them here, with Bolts now joining in just a little bit late. First starts to creep forward. There is Shazam lying in wait in toilet. He's been here since the start of the round. He's had plenty of time to get his bearings and hold down the fort. You can see Config even starting to rotate up from that B bomb site now. Sits pretty over on A. Going to run boost Fallen out. Always love to see it. No one there, sadly, but hopefully that plays into the round, you know, at a later date. And they're going to get long control for free. Shazam is actually in a great deal of danger now, and he kind of starts to realize that. Peels away. Plays a more passive angle. Has the now the warm embrace of Config there to help him out.
He's super nice. Fallen going to try and find this pick off of Config, jumping for info. 40 seconds left on the clock. This is going to be very, very run down. Bottlenecked inside the site right behind the boxes. Molotov into the choke points, and SK not readjusting over towards B. They still want to hit this A bomb site. All 3 players here. There's a lot of ground they'd have to cover if they switch. Config's going to jump, and I don't know if he actually saw that. If he had, I think there'd be a faster rotation, and indeed, Stanislaus on the way. He's on his horse, and this hit has got to come in now. 15 seconds left. Great kill from Fur. Shazam still blind, not able to get involved. They know exactly where he is. Bolts goes down. Smokes up. The wall is there, but a gap in the smokes almost caused him pain. And there he goes. Fallen with the double is going to secure this round. The bomb will get planted. A 3-on-2 now for SK, and Cajun is next up for OpTic. He's got to do something on this flank. They now know where Gate is. He's given up his position. They're going to attack from so many different positions. That's not great. Fallen got to do it all again, and he goes down. coldzera now trapped in the bomb site. But who better in this one-on-one? Try and fight as he retreats out in the open. This is a risky mobility, risky play from him, and it somehow pays off. Gade too scared to peek. And coldzera's got himself into safety. Even with the kit, Gade can't win this one, I don't think. coldzera just going to bide his time, use the timer as a teammate, and there it is. Lures him into the open. 8-1, an immediate response from SK.
Yeah, I mean, it all kind of comes down to this play from Fallen. You know, 1 wasn't enough for him. He then goes back, and that second kill on a Shazam means the bomb can go down. I think they had 2 seconds left at the end of that. So, you know, all it would have taken is 1 missed shot from Fallen. 1 missed play, give Shazam some sort of advantage. It would have been a very different round, but SK in with an 8. Fallen continues his very good streak here over in mid. Gonna drop out config. Man advantage picked up for SK in a round we're expecting them to win anyway. Shazam, what missed shot with a D. coldzera up on the fountain. Just gonna pad those stats that much more for him. Trying to build up coldzera's confidence once again after a very, very shaky performance over on trade. Stan's boosted up here, wants to try and go for a cheese play to get Stewie. But Fur's here, and so is the bomb on the back of Fallen. There are 3 players in connector. Maybe Stan upon this boost can get something done. Spots the first. They don't even know where that came from. Now they start to realize it is the boost, but Cajun B comes in from behind, and suddenly it's a 2-on-2. This round is looking very feasible for OpTic. They've dropped the bomb. They have the AWP up on Cajun B. Cade wasn't able to grab himself a rifle, but this is still good odds, especially as Cajun B slams down the gauntlet. Now 3 kills. coldzera going to spray him down. He's picked up the bomb, and it's a 1-on-1.
1-on-1, and you never want coldzera to have this much time to make his decisions. He's going to have time to get the bomb planted and move wherever he chooses to. Gate on the flank, making noise, no kit, so he does have to speed things up a little bit, and coldzera maybe going to try and get tricky. Drops a smoke. Hasn't had the information yet of Gade's positioning. As Gade works his way into the bomb site, 1-8. This would be huge for OpTic. Winning an eco round like this would be an immediate boost to the economy. 1 flashbang still left on coldzera. Smoke on Gade, so he could try and get clever, but the bomb is going to be easy to Sam through that. coldzera walking up, being very, very cautious, and misses it. I think he just ran out of bullets as well, and he's got the wrong lineup. This is going to go in. Gade's going to have the full defuse, and the knife comes in at the end, but OpTic's already won. coldzera loses track of where he planted, loses bullets as well.
I mean, yeah, why not? 8-1 up for SK, and then they lose it to a full 10-second defuse in the smoke.
Like
for coldzera, just simple as losing that lineup, and in the kind of situation of that 1-on-1, the pressure does kind of get to you a bit as well. And running out of ammo wasn't part of that, you imagine, but yeah, for Gade, it was also like another shot, right? We saw the 1-on-1 in literally the round prior, and this time instead of playing it smart, he just does the dumbest thing he can think of, which is sit on that bomb. And now Cajun B. Okay, he's going to go ahead and take 1 to the dome as coldzera looks to try and make up for his shortcomings in the previous round. 2 quick entries. Stewie going to round off this offensive as he drops out Gade. It's just configured Shazam left. And, well, what a turnaround this was from SK in this round. They wasted no time in getting back on that board.
Yeah, they'd had enough, didn't they? They were just like, all right, screw it. We're not even going to let it come into a silly one-on-one like that, or the silly mistakes of getting caught in a crossfire in the stairwell. Now they're on the hunt. And they don't have a great amount of money, so it'll be interesting to see how far they risk these weapons, but actually, Bolts has already spotted him out. You can see him back away from the fight because he's given his team the information, goes back for the repeat, and Shazam finds it, but they're about to run into the whole SK horde. There goes Config. They know Shazam is here at long. Flashbang's going to stream over. Shazam has to give it up, misses the flick. Surely he's dead now, and he is. Fur takes off his head. Very, very fast round. Shock and awe from SK. That is a tough reset. This is just Coldzera. He was done. He was not in the mood to think about that one-on-one he lost. Goes for the double entry. Tough times for OpTic as they're back onto just simply upgraded pistols.
It's going to be aggression over into middle, but SK positioned perfectly to shut this down. That nade actually finds good damage on a Fallen. OpTic showing good restraint there to not go forcing the agenda too hard over in mid. Once they realize that SKF players stacked up, they just go ahead and retreat back. Want to try and keep these pistols close. And for SK, once again, it's 4 players down into connector. This time they've already got bolts securing short, so they won't fall prey to a boost.
I was going to say, it's interesting to see them go right back to it on an anti-force buy, isn't it? They're just like, you know what? We're just gonna prove to the world that we can do it.
I mean, hey, it's worked, right? They've proven that they can get through connector. Now they just have to win the round. They have to close it out.
Yeah, but they're walking right into the stack. Almost have to treat this as a gunner at the full execute. There's the flashbangs over. Good job by Bolts. The spray transfer with a Cajun. Can't find the third. Gotta back away. Low HP. A couple low HP players for SK. It's all right. None of them are gonna get cleaned up. None of them go down in the end, and that's a 10th as SK continue to pile on.
Bit of a pretty turbulent evening thus far, I think, Jason. It was 16-2 for OpTic on train, let's not forget. And now SK are poised 10-2 up on Overpass. So maybe train just isn't, you know, SK's baby right now like it used to be.
Yeah, there is that. I mean, it is one of the, in my opinion, it's one of the more difficult maps to manage as a new squad with the way executes work and how hectic and crazy and how quickly you can kind of lose who's watching what when the smokes and flashbangs come in. It's a very intuitive map that requires a lot of theory and thought work put in like before the games begin. So maybe not too much of a surprise, but certainly this is looking better for whatever reason for SK, as OpTic not looking as comfortable on this one.
Oh, they most definitely are not, especially as you know, in this round it was the buy from OpTic. They put everything they had into it, and unless Gade and Stan can do something truly remarkable, I don't see them picking this up. They've still been spotted, and that's a free kill. That has given OpTic a serious foot back into the door here. Stan's going to hear the players charging on in towards A. Now, Gade's got a very lengthy rotation. That kind of makes me question whether or not they go for this. Maybe if they find Fur, maybe then we see them attempt it. Fur's going to just scoot right on by Stan. And this is kind of bad for Gade. It's giving him the misinformation that Heaven's clear, and Fur is just playing with his food. Just toying with him.
He wants to see the second player. He wants to see Stanislav run out somewhere, so he's just spending as much time as possible. If Gade ever looks like he's going to be walking out of the crosshairs, Fur will find the kill, but he wants that second player, and enough time has elapsed, and Stanislav...
Stan has no idea.
I mean, he's fine with it. He doesn't need to get the kill. He's trying to save the weapon. This would actually be huge. Is he able to save the AWP? He's got to run back towards the bomb. Can he actually survive? Yeah, 47 HP. Well done from Stanislav. No one wanted to chase him down to blow up with that, so that's a really good find, even in a loss, to be able to pick up the AWP.
Yeah, the only issue is with saving the AWP, you're going to be throwing that over to Shazam. It's he's been pretty quiet here on Overpass, there's no denying it. You know, Train, he had a very, very good performance. He was one of the pillars of the team. I think on Overpass, it just hasn't really come to fruition. Now, they've gone for the force here. It's, you know, round 14. They're onto the double save. This buy is, you know, arguably better than the one they would have had into round 15. They're going to try and make it work with the force. They've done it once. Maybe they can do it again, and that's a good start from Cajun. As he does get the trade onto Stewie, Bolts is swift in his counter-aggression to that play. Config's able to answer back with one more. 2 versus 3, though. Shazam rotating around. Maybe if Config finds something, but no, it's as you kind of go to get too excited about anything, they just get shut down time and time again, and now it is just Shazam with this scavenged door. Missed shot onto Fur and SK. They're 12-2 up. Looking like a 13-2 half is more than likely, which means they've mirrored the success that OpTic had on Train. Potentially, I mean.
Yeah, well, don't speak too soon. You might have just ruined it.
Well, you know, I do that a lot. So it's all good. I'm living up to my expectations too.
I mean, Coldzera's got 16k right now, which is mental. Fur's at about 15k, just under it. It doesn't really matter. It's just kind of a cool thing to know that they haven't died in some time or had to drop over weapons either. So Ooh, look at this aggression from OpTic. It's going to work out initially. Config is able to not get away. Is able to die to Fur. Equalizing kill coming out. The one thing that SK has done a very good job of on this map, on this T side so far, has been, they've been very, very good on the entries. Remember, on Tryon, we never really got to see the T side because the first half was just so abysmal that wasn't really a chance to show anything off. Stewie's got a job to do against the shotgun. He spots it out. There's the headshot. I think Stanizok clipped the wall with some of those bullets, and Shazam shoots the scout, and that weakness is on display, the weaker weapon. Fur wants blood. He wants to go right for it. Shazam going to back away towards the site and just get into cover in the nick of time. Even tags up Fur, but he's taken down for his trouble. Now Fallen, his turn to pounce. He gives up that he's coming up ramp. Cage and B to his right. The quick scope is there. The great adjustment as well, and it's just Gade. 1 versus 4, and Fallen toying with him as well. He's going to be able to get into some position to find Stewie and the double. He can go for one more. coldzera walking up next, and he finds that. A 1 versus 4, and Gade's about to win it. 73 against 9 HP. It's Fur coming down the stairs, and Gade's got that as well. Magical from Gade, but it might just be too little too late.
Still, that was a very nice round. Plays it through the site, is able to catch them off guard, rotating up short with the bomb. Things go from bad to worse very, very quickly there for SK in that round. It's still a monstrous performance. 12-3 is absolutely unreal. That said, it feels like SK's CT sides have been weaker since they made this switch. I mean, we've seen it on Train, we've seen it in some of the other maps that we've seen SK play on. It's been a real kind of area they struggled on. We didn't get to see how their T side was on Train, obviously, so I can't really comment if it's like a reoccurring theme or not. But OpTic, at least looking to the forward, they can kind of rely on some of this individual firepower that you have in players like Config and, Gade. Clearly, he's feeling it right now on this T side that much more. And a pistol round win here, suddenly, you're back at like a 6-12 scoreline. I don't think they're out of this one just yet.
Well, Stewie with the boost is going to have some information. No one opens the door, and this is a fake from Cajun. Just throwing the utility, and I'm wondering... Ooh, Fur was pulled back because of that utility usage. Because of that, he's not actually going to see this. He would have had the early spot, but now it's going to be too late for him. He somehow doesn't die. He gets shot in the face initially, but the follow-up damage wasn't there. Finally, it comes in from Config, who's still pressing the issue, pausing for the flames, but you can just tell he wants to go forward, wants to take this fight. The headshot angle, he's going to get back, but not quick enough. Takes some damage, forces falling away. Actually, Config's still relatively healthy, all things considered. 3 players for SK on the stairs. There is 2 kits on the board for them, and Config surely boxed in now, going to go down. Stewie finds him. The rest of OpTic just patiently waiting to clean up these frags. There's Shazam peeking out, and he's going to get 2 quick headshots. Fallen and bolts go down, and that's going to be it. Ooh, nice sequence from Shazam. Shazam!
So that's the pistol round win. OpTic now they have to try and convert, and they haven't really had any problems doing this whenever we've seen them pick up the pistol prior. That was a lot of peas. But SK force buying down what they can. Couple of Deagles, couple of CZs here and there. Fallen understandably doesn't. He wants to go for the AWP. 4 SMGs in play. OpTic looking to try and make some money. They've been pretty good at the old economy management. Haven't fell into the same pitfalls as we saw SK fall into on Trade. Stewie spotted out and tagged over here at long. He has got support from Fur down in the bathrooms. And actually, slowly but surely, coldzera is working his way up long as well. There's about to be 2 players here to try and contend with Gade and it's Shazam. coldzera's going to win that first, so now they lose out on Fur, but Stewie and Cole, they've locked down long successfully. And that's now applied the pressure onto Config and to Cajun to try and make this play. They go running into coldzera, but Config's able to go ahead and just decimate him with the Mac 10, saying that this flank has done great damage onto Cajun B. He's been forced off the bomb, and luckily enough, they have Stan to flank the flanker in the form of Bolt. Stan in a great spot to lock this round in. He spotted the last man. And that was close. Cajun B and Config, though, they managed to get it done.
Config has really kind of let himself go in this one. He is just all over the place, never slowing down, never stopping moving forward to that Mac 10. Good round for him. 4 kills to kind of recover the situation for OpTic. Good initial battles for SK. Just so many players lost in HP that they were just easy to clean up. You can just see Config so much money from all the bonus cash of the Mac 10. And OpTic this time going for the B rush. Shazam going to lead the way, Cajun following it up. There's 4 players here from SK, but they have no weapons to fight with. It's all the basic pistols, and going to go down quickly without a fight. Shazam at 1 HP. Stewie in a 1 versus 5. The investment into the Deagle not looking great at the moment. So it will be, like you said, winning the pistol, they're going to get up towards 6, so 6 to 12 in the favor of SK. Chance for OpTic to make this comeback happen. A couple well-timed resets, and it might just occur.
And yeah, as soon as we have a slight lull in the action while Stewie's trying to save, during the death segment, Jason, you asked me, what change I thought was going to be bigger, Stewie to SK or Taco to Liquid. If I mean, it looks like that's happening, right? You join their ESEA roster. Which one do you think is going to have the most impact?
I think it's kind of an unfair question in a way. I'll be honest, even though I am the one that asked it.
I was going to say, yeah. you're the author.
Yeah, but I'm kind of a dick, so there's that. I mean, it's kind of like, when you have the bar that's set for SK to be like a championship contender and to win like a string of championships, obviously, like Stewie's, that kind of switch over is never going to be considered the more powerful one, right? Because they're expected to get to such higher placings that it's really not fair to Stewie to say you need to immediately have, and you need to be able to have, like, where's the improvement, right? Do they have to win 7 championships instead of 6? Whatever it might be. But I do think the Taco to Liquid is the more intriguing one. I think there's far less question marks in that one than there is in this Stewie to SK in terms of the communication issues. I think Taco speaks English very, very well. Could change when you get into a game environment. I think Taco is one of those players who doesn't need to be a star the way it feels like Stewie at times has been the star for his teams. That's a nice kill from Stanislaw. So I think Taco is just the safer one to go for, to be honest with you.
Oh yeah, I'm glad our opinions aligned on that one. Speaking of aligning, how have the stars aligned for OpTic? They've been able to find Fur out of position at long, and Shazam, he will take that all day lies. That phrase far too much. I need to go ahead and thesaurize some
all day long?
Yeah. Do you want to give me some alternatives there, Jason? Can you think of any? Till the cows come home, that's one.
That does work.
There we go. I've already got one more.
There you go.
Constantly learning, and here's someone else who's constantly learning, whether that's things about the game or Portuguese. He's going to try and make a stand, and he will go down. Gate's able to find him. Now it's just Bolts and coldzera. Bolts doesn't stand the test of time, and now it's coldzera 1v5. Just wants to stay alive. He's going to run away, and OpTic Gaming going to be on to a 7th. This is a little bit worrisome, I think, now if you're SK. Because they have had some very apparent cracks in their CT side defenses, and this is already kind of living up to just that fact. OpTic going to be on to a 7th here. There's no money left for SK into the next round, and 5 players survive for OpTic now means that you already have config on 8,500. He doesn't have to rebuy. He's going to be looking great. Sticks a little bit of money into some utility, but that's it. I mean, money is very quickly building up for this Danish-American mix.
It's not ideal in any way for SK. And yeah, I mean, if you go back to train and you see their CT side on that map was a huge problem. We're starting to see some of the struggles here on Overpass. Still so early going, obviously. It was the pistol round and 1 gun round, but I didn't quite get to see the half scores of their games yesterday, of which they lost the majority. I think the tough part is you saw yesterday 2 big comebacks for teams against SK. One was a comeback from like 9 to 14 to triple overtime that they lost. So they haven't really been great at closing games out either. So yeah, got to start feeling, if you're SK, you can't really kind of take these rounds off. You need to close this one out. And OpTic now being very assertive across the map. Now they can reach deep into the playbook as well. As you said, the money is so built up behind them. They can go for some of the trick plays. They can go for some of the risky uppercuts of these B rushes. And SK should not be anywhere near going for this round, and they're not. coldzera just keep the M4 alive. Stewie and Fur keep the armor. Have a full buy into the next round. We'll be 8 to 12 though, and perhaps one more small run from OpTic, and they're back into it.
There we go. That's the round locked in for OpTic, and 8th for them. And now things are a bit awkward for SK. They get the buy down. They're feeling good there at least. Keeping players alive at the end of that round. Keeping the armors up. Rebuying across the board. Fallen has himself his trusty AWP back in hand, and Rifles and everyone else. It's just all that money that's built up now for OpTic is where the real problem starts to lie, because, you know, not only do they have to try and slow down the overall momentum and confidence that this team has built up, but now they've also got a hearty amount of money to go behind it. And, well, Fallen would be the man to kickstart this round, although he's going to fall at the hands of Config, and just like that, they're inside a B. That's a team flash, and that's a disaster. Config's allowed to get 2 for free. coldzera does answer back and kind of remedies the misplay there with the team flash, but in the blink of an eye, it's all on Stewie. He's going to go trying to pressure Shazam. Game of whack-a-mole on the ladder, and somehow Shazam's going to land that shot, so OpTic now moving on to a 9th. And once again, money for SK is a real problem. OpTic, no such issue. Looks like they should be able to get onto a 10th here, really. Yeah,
I mean, they just go for another straight-up B-rush. Fallen's gotten destroyed in that position 2 rounds now when he has the AWP. One time was against an AWP, Shazam out-dueled him, holding an angle at sandbags. That time, they just get right up in his face and he misses the shot. Probably not expecting that level of aggression. Not too often you see a full-blown B-rush when the opposing team knows you're going to be on a full buy. Now towards the other side of the map we go. coldzera, the only one here, goes down immediately to Config, just taking that fight. Down to 7 HP, it does take plenty of damage. Shazam with the op is far back, watching for any pushes up towards Fountain. As the rest of his teammates take over bathrooms, and Stan actually covering towards the B bomb site. Here's a push, though. The timing of this is going to be huge. Shazam turns around at the right moment, but not quick enough to be able to find that kill. Stewie's got to get away. He's being chased down. You know exactly what it is. It's first chance for aggression. SK is just pushing everywhere across the map and funneling OpTic into the other direction, into their teammates. All equally aggressive, and it's a 2-on-3. And Gade's only real option is to go right at Stewie. He knows he's in this direction. It's the timing. Missed shot from Stewie. Stanislaw trying to come back to help him. 50 seconds left on the clock. And Stan is going to come up the stairs. Clears things out, at least in that direction, at least minimally. Stewie sees the open door, and he's ready for a peek here, and he's going to find it. Great adjustment. He goes back, almost looked away. It's just Gade. We saw an incredible clutch out of him earlier, end of the first half, and Stewie's going to go for the knife. Ooh, he's going for the disrespect, and he's going to get it. Triple kill, finished off with a shank.
Yes, they finally managed to find a round. 13-9. Buy comes back in for OpTic, though. That is surely not a problem. Stewie's going to be breaking out this double AWP setup along with Fallen for SK. She's going to take this peek in the mid. No one there. Well, they have got Stewie at long and Fur lying in wait down in middle. Config slowly but surely pushing up through connector. They're looking to try and split one out into mid between Party and connector. Fur is positioned for the bait and switch with Stewie. But they've left long open, and this has actually left him in a pretty vulnerable position. Stewie's in definitely the more awkward of the two. He's very reliant on Fur to win these duels. If he goes down, Stewie will get pressure from 2 angles between long and mid. So Fur, there we go, finds that first. Config able to trade, and now Stewie, he's the man in the hot seat. Takes the peek out to Config. He had to take that fight if he wanted to try and survive, and he will come up short as a result. coldzera, now all that stands between OpTic and this A bomb site, and currently he's over at long. Now Config, how do you expect this? I mean, Bolts is going to get found elsewhere on the map down towards Monster. And now OpTic, they don't even have to go, you know, they don't have to commit to this A play.
Yeah, that is a big death from Bolts. Look at coldzera, though. He's waiting this whole time. So patient, being quiet. Doesn't want Config to turn around. Goes for the double kill, and he gets it. The bomb is on the ground. He's going to smoke himself off for safety. Fallen's got to get over here. Fortunately for coldzera, it's Shazam with the op who would have been the next one up, and you can't chase down with this weapon. It's so difficult. Flashbang over. coldzera not even coming through, and he is completely stopped OpTic Gaming. Fallen is here with the op to hold the line. And Shazam now has got to find 2 individual fights, not even aware of where he is, and the clock is running down. 7 seconds left, and he does find one. He could go for more, and he's going to try and stick the bomb. No, tries to bait Fallen out, and actually spots him now. 1 second, no time left. Fallen towards them around the truck and completes the kill. Puts SK on 14. OpTic Gaming, it's been quite a comeback, but it's falling short here towards the end. They have plenty of money still for more buys, but running out of time.
Yeah, SK, this is a fantastic return from them. 14-9 now, and they've slowly but surely whittled down this economy from OpTic. They still have a buy in the next. It's just a rush into B fast as they can. They're going to make their way in blistering pace, but Stan's been decimated early on by Fallen. He's going to go back for a second, almost a third, but Config will say no to that. Now it's Bolts. Try and turn the tide, and him and coldzera, they managed to mop things up. SK will be on to a 15th. And now OpTic, it all comes down to this. It was a fantastic attempt at a comeback here in the second half from them. They're still able to get a buy up. Cajun B has the AWP out. There's another AWP for Shazam. Oh, it's just the one, rather.
There's only so many times a B-Rush is going to work against this SK team, isn't there? You can't do it every single time, so... Seems like OpTic may be running out of steam. They're definitely out of cash. They had so much built up. It was glorious. But it's all gone now. Stewie going to get aggressive, and he finds Shazam. If Fallen can't win that fight, Stewie will do it for him. Trademark aggression from Fur, cutting the map in half. A lot of information being passed over to SK. I think Stan just going to wait for this smoke to clear and just walk through, play contact. coldzera and Bolts heading towards Sandbags, so this is a window of opportunity that is just perfect for Stan. And the rest of OpTic, he's joined by two teammates. Config turns around, not able to find coldzera. That's a nice headshot from him, and actually there's Stan as well. Now it's smoked off, now the choke point is gone, and the bomb site is lost.
That's going to be 3-on-3 in the retake for SK. coldzera is kind of the first man on the scene, but he's waiting for the aggression from the rest of his team and waiting to see if anyone from OpTic tries to reposition into the short angle.
I think they save this. I don't think there's a great way for them to get back into this bomb site, and they're out of money as well. And they're actually going to go for it. I'm surprised.
Well, they've surprised you. Can they surprise OpTic? Flash goes high. Fur's able to get the first onto Gade. Now it is just Cajun B and Stan left. And Cajun going to give up his position. Fallen in with the peak. Does drop him, and Stan 1 versus 2, but coldzera is merciless, shuts him down, and
I don't
SK,
think they have it. No, they don't have
no time.
That's what you call a disaster of sorts. Not the worst one in the world, but yeah, running out of time. SK known for running down the clock on their retakes, and that one just took a bit too long. OpTic doesn't have great money, though, and the reason why I was saying I think they should save is because what you see is SK kind of really out of cash to even make a force buy happen. They're going to take a timeout to kind of figure it out. The worst thing they could do, I think, in my opinion, is buy right now, because then you put yourself into just the economy nightmare where you won't have money to fight for an additional 2 rounds, and nothing would make OpTic happier than that if SK were to buy and lose. So you just save 1 round, you'll get a full buy in the next one, and you give yourself a great opportunity to win with a 4-round buffer. But if they had saved those guns, they had 2 M4s and AWP on Fallen, they could have dropped 1 M4, so they could have actually had the, 4-rifle buy. Regardless, we find ourselves here. Some upgraded pistols being purchased by the largely Brazilian squad.
I'm curious to see what the results of this are. Yeah, it would just be the light investment. They've got a few upgraded pistols, but that's it. As you said, Jason, we've seen some surprising NA transfers. Maybe Jason to coach SK is one that's in the pipeline. We never know.
Wouldn't be fair for the rest of the scene, I don't think. Really.
That's very true. But, nice shots from Stewie. In with his magic Deeg. Fallen's retrieved an AK. He's going to go charging up from high now. Actually, could get caught off guard by Stan here.
Stan misses the shot and gives up his position and just bails out. Actually, I'll just say it again. I know it's like the boring Counter-Strike, right? But Fallen should just be trying to save this AK-47. Bolts is only at 1,400, so he's not going to be able to really buy anything great in the next round. This would actually be huge if Fallen's able to keep this weapon in SK's hands. And I think he will. No one from OpTic really looking too squirrely to go for the battle.
I never actually paid attention to what the graffiti said, and I just realized it is just ABC. So a little bit of some alphabet refreshment there.
Nice.
Well, you know, I'm a man of observation, Jason. I just figured, you know, for anyone who's less informed like me, maybe that's important. But here's the buy for SK. Fallen's got himself the AWP. He throws the AK to bolts. That's a nice little drop for him. He gets that much more utility as a result. A good buy for SK here. And OpTic, they have 4 rounds between them and overtime here on Overpass. Config donning that UMP. Has utility to accompany it. The rest of the guys all up on rifles. No AWP for OpTic. And already Fur's got aggressive out towards Fountain. He has support from Stewie at long. No one from OpTic in a position to keep an eye on this. They are going to go flashing on over now. But Fur, this aggression is somewhat a staple of this man. He is finally actually going to go down, rather, at the hands of Gade. So instead of 4-on-4, Fur's aggression doesn't get too much done for SK. But this is why you've got Stewie here, posted up at long.
This is kind of one of the question marks teams are going to have of SK. Stewie likes to be aggressive as well, much like Fur, so it can be so deadly if both of them are on point. But also can be very dangerous if you're SK and you're risking a lot. Constantly 2 players being aggressive. They've got a 3-on-2 here at the B bomb site, and the reinforcements are so far away. coldzera and Stewie still over at long. Bolts is going to hold the line initially, gets the first headshot. Config and Shazam turn the corner. It's now just Fallen. Smoke goes down. Oh, that's a rare miss. That's a huge miss, though. Don't often see Fallen not landing that shot. And again, over towards Sandbags. He's been very poor in that position throughout this game. Throughout this half, I should say. Stewie's up next. No kits on the CT side. He's trying to use the edge of the smoke. Flashbang comes in from his teammate, but Config's aware. coldzera has pushed through the flame. That one's going to push him forward right into Config. Quad kill for him. It's 12-15. The comeback isn't over just yet, and another save round going to come in for SK.
And there's something about Config on Overpass. You know, he's close to 30 kills right now. Not quite the record-breaking performance that we've seen, but you know, you can't do that every week. You have to put your feet up sometimes. And I mean, yeah, for SK now, they've got a light sprinkling utility, 4 nades. Maybe going to try a nade stack early on. If they do it down towards B, it's a bit of a waste. No one's there. And it's a bit of a shame as well, because it's like the one round where if they'd done this down mid, it would have really worked out. OpTic put all 4 players there. Hindsight is 20/20 though. That's what they say. And yeah, OpTic just charging in through long. Looks like they're going to get onto this A bomb site pretty much for free. Stewie on this flank. Here's the footsteps. Could actually do some damage. A gate's been chipped down. He's going to get finished off by coldzera. This push is kind of grinded to a halt. Luckily enough, Config is able to start to open it back up. coldzera does burn in the fire and flames, but Fur and Bolts still alive and kicking. Fur going to get boosted up over the top here. He spotted out Shazam. Shazam's going to get caught off guard and tagged out within inches of his life. Bolts keeps progressing, and Fur, with only a USP, he will falter at the hands of Shazam. 15-13. OpTic now 2 rounds away from pulling this back to overtime here. SK, though, they've got one last full buy in their repertoire. This is going to be it. They stick all they've got into this one round here. AWP out for Fallen. Their last buy, the last shot to try and win this map out here and now. The next would be a Force, and it would be a weak one at that. So Config up through short like a speed demon. Going to be a fast play in from OpTic. Another rush into B. These have had mixed results. This time Stewie slams down the gauntlet. 2 massive frags and a third. Stewie's on fire. Stan's finally able to trade, but it's Shazam and Stanislaw left to try and keep OpTic in this map. Fur's playing around in the smoke. Shazam's going to get caught and stabbed in the back, and just like that, Stan goes down. SK, they managed to get it done at 16-13.
Just barely squeaking it out, aren't they? And yeah, I mean, I said there was only so many times you can run a B-rush and actually be successful with it. So a good recovery from SK after the battering they received on Train, 2-16, and now this one a 16-13 victory. Yeah, that was it. 13 at the end.
Yeah.
Listen, the
60
short-term
saying-
memory is not what it used to be.
It does go away with getting old.
Yeah. How'd it go with that one? Much better looking for SK this time around?
I would say so. I mean, we saw Cold Zero play well once again. You know, it was a little bit of an outlier the first game on Train, as you said. You know, he never really plays bad, even if SK is losing. And this time around, he was the catalyst behind this win. You know, constantly putting up the frags. Stu 2K also chiming in with some of the kills that we know him for. The last round was a great example of those 3Ks. You know, where he just shut down the entire round by himself within a few seconds. That's what he normally does, or normally did for Cloud9 when he was in form. So we see a little bit of potential, but still nothing that gives you any idea of where SK is going to be. It's going to be like one of these periods where we're going to have to watch a lot of games in order to get a real picture of where they really stand in terms of their progress and how they want to deal with this team. You know, it's a completely new scenario for them.
Yeah, they don't look like world beaters as of right now. I think that's safe to say. And I mean, we got to see a bit of a new look in terms of how they went about things. We saw Cold Zero actually doing a fair bit of entry fragging for SK this game, which is definitely not the norm. But yeah, it worked out. I think part of it was obviously in the first half they were able to actually shut down any sort of aggression coming up from OpTic early on. That's normally when players like Config thrives. SK dealt very well with that. Obviously, then that leaves them with 12 rounds to turn things around.
Config looked great today, didn't he? Even in a loss on Overpass.
Yeah. That's because he was actually having a really rough first half, but then again, everyone from OpTic was, and then it just kind of skyrocketed into a different plane from everyone else. Really, and I think it went from having something like 6 or 7 frags in the first half to ending up with
26.
Yeah, 26 or more. Yeah. So he definitely had a pretty decent second half, and that was again one of the biggest reasons why we saw OpTic having a bit of a resurgence and comeback. I had a tweet loaded up, which was
what was it?
Yeah, it's just quickest series of the season, right? Like just stomps with role reversal. That was really what was going through my head, and then just OpTic slowly starting to climb back, and I was like, well, might have to delete this. didn't age well.
What causes? We now saw. I mean, yesterday with some of the matches, obviously we didn't see all of them, but we know just from looking at the stats that SK had a tough time closing out games. What is it that's causing this team, with all this experience, not to be able to close? I mean, they have 4 major winners on this team.
The lack of communication, I think, like that's what they really were so good at. All the teams out there, Astralis for an example, one of the same teams that thrives well with communication. If you look within Denmark, you know, we all know that they're the best at communicating. A guy like Kirby is coming from Astralis into North and trying to implement some of the things that they did in Astralis in regards to communication. SK were in the same scenario where like they win a lot of games on basic just communication and adaptation throughout the games, and they can't do that in the same fashion when they have Steel 2K with them. It's sort of like a scenario where if you don't feel 100% comfortable and 100% sure where your teammates are, you can't really make the right calls or come up with the right ideas at the right times. And it's just a proven fact by now that Stu 2K is coming in, and there's going to be a lot of adaptations from all players. You know, Cold Zero, the best player in the world, all of a sudden have to take on a new role. Stu 2K, one of the greatest talent in NA for a long time, always have to be a completely new role and have to take a step back, you know, in terms of where his personal involvement is going. So there's just so many ifs and so many, you know, adaptations from this SK lineup that there's so many things that can go wrong for them now. They have to glide out of the system, basically. So it's going to be a long process, I believe, for them. But the talent, admittedly, is there, and Stu 2K is if anyone is motivated for it, it gotta be him.
Yeah, I mean, did we see anything? Because I noticed during the game, like, you know, it seemed like Stu was taking over a lot of just Taco's roles. Like, they're just plugging him in. Do you expect that to change as time goes on, as they get some time to, like, take a break and not have all these officials? I mean, it's only been, what, 2 days, and they've played 4 official 2 series?
Yeah, they've played a whole lot of maps. 8 maps.
Yeah.
That's quite a bit, actually, for just someone who's been thrown into the lineup. But I think that's actually where you're going to see the new identity of SK kind of shape itself, what kind of path they choose to go with. They can either choose kind of, I guess, feeding into the kind of player Stewie's already been in Cloud9, obviously, which is a fragger. It's someone who's going to be taking charge and actually setting the pace of the game, or they're going to have to, again, mold him into a new Taco. Obviously, a more individually skilled one, but it's going to take, you know, a completely different mindset for Stewie to get into. I think that's where you're going to see how good of a player Stewie actually can be, regardless of what path they choose, but how well he obviously comes out of it. If they actually manage to rework Stewie into pretty much like like a Zipnix for that team, that'd be amazing, right? But that's obviously pretty high ceiling.
Also not going to happen, and also a waste of potential, I feel, and that's another problem.
How could you call Zipnix waste of potential? Like, if you're Zipnix, you are the champion of your role, pretty much, or like what you provide to a team.
But that comes into the whole discussion about support players. For some reason, support players, and the great support players, Taco being one of them, if he were to be a star player, he couldn't be. He's not good enough. He's not individual skilled enough. Same goes on for Siblings. He's very great individually and a great individual skilled support player, but there's a reason why he took on that role in the beginning. There's so few star players out there. There's so few symbols, few Stewie 2Ks, so you can't really raise their potential going into a support role.
So here's the thing that I'm going to, I guess, play devil's advocate in this scenario. The fact that who do you actually pick over, or who do you pick instead of Stewie? Or like, who do you actually take Stewie over the rest of the SK members? You don't take him over Cold. No. You don't take him over Fur in this position. You definitely don't take him over Fallen. So who's left?
There you go. There you have the problem.
Well, exactly. So exactly, you have to follow the suit and my thought process, right? Which actually is
Kim's over here playing judo with you.
No, I mean he's playing like, I don't know, 1D checkers. Because yeah, you pretty much have to try to mold him into something he's not at the moment, and I think that's going to showcase how true of a talent he is to the game. And again, having the determination and motivation that he's, according to his former teammates, actually has, that's a great step along that way. Because again, it's going to be a lot of really, really awful moments for him, because he's not going to be the guy who gets to do whatever he wants, not going to be the focal point of the team. And that could very easily weigh down on someone's mentality. And again, you talk about Counter-Strike being a confidence game. That can definitely destroy a person for a significant amount of time. So it's going to be really interesting to see how Stewie comes out of that and how well
they start to mold him into the team and everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Will be cool. Well, while we're on the subject of Stewie, let's bring up, we have some transfers that went down within the scene. We all know all the big ones, but we can get a quick recap here.
This last week has been a messy one on the North American scene. It was revealed that the SK player Taco stepped back from the active roster. SK Gaming has been struggling ever since the disappointing result at IEM Katowice. And after bad performances for 2 months, Taco departed. That left a hole in the SK roster. A hole that earlier this week was filled by the Cloud9 player Stewie 2K.
Look at the time, there's 7 seconds to blow the bomb. They're trying to build pyramids, but there's no more play. Stewie's won the round. We're going to overtime.
The young American left his North American team, and suddenly Cloud9 was the team missing a player. And if that wasn't enough, Skadoodle chose to step back from the CSGO scene, leaving Cloud9 without another player that can do stuff like this.
Skadoodle, your turn, you're up, and he's already got the first. He goes, it's Nico in the smoke as well. He doesn't know it, but he goes back out, he's got this low. Oh my God, how close is that? How fast is Skadoodle? And his turn to stand up, 3 in a row.
FNS has in the meantime replaced Stewie, but the former major winners still have an opening in the roster. And with that remark, we conclude the messy week in the North American Pro League.
Yes, those were all the transfers that have gone on, or some of the transfers, some of the big ones, and
at least the ones officially.
Yeah, the ones announced that we all know, right?
More to come.
Yeah,
there's always more to come, isn't there? Yeah, welcome back to the Xfinity Analyst Desk. If we had to, since I played this game very lightly with Harold, what do you guys think? The top kind of transfers that we've seen. If this Taco one goes through for Team Liquid, is it going to be better than the Stewie to SK one? Like, which lineup do you think is going to eventually come out on top?
I think it's going to be a smoother transition. I think in the next 3 months, I think we're going to see Liquid winning out on that. But I say that with a bit of a bated breath, because we've seen Liquid have been doing well. Like, they've been playing well. They've been playing good Counter-Strike, and they could potentially mess that up, even though I'd rate Taco higher than Steel in terms of what he brings to a team and just how good he is as an individual. But again, you have something, you have a team that's working, and it's the classic saying, never change a winning team, right?
Yeah.
So that has me a bit worried. But I think short term, Liquid definitely should come out ahead on that end.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
okay, let's do it this way, Pim. We'll make it easy on you. Yeah. Let's just do 1 through 3. We've got FNS to Cloud9. There's obviously one more to come there, as far as we know. You've got Taco to Team Liquid. You've got Stewie to SK. What's your 1, 2, 3? One being the best.
Taco to Liquid, definitely number 1. I think that's going to be the best move, especially over short time, as you're saying. Stewie 2K to SK is going to work just because SK is SK, Cold Zero can't keep him down. They may not be the same SK as they were 3 months ago, winning everything, but they're going to win tournaments once in a while, and that's just SK. Cloud9 is going to be a team that went from being a major champion to probably never going to make playoffs at any tournaments again if they bring in FNS and a less skilled player than they could do. I mean, I'm having a very hard time seeing how they're going to do that. The thing that carried them through the major was the individual skill. the way they were playing so unpredictable. And I think all of them went out in interviews and saying after the event, it's so hard to be number one because everyone is looking at what we're doing, yada, 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 and all of a sudden they start to lose. So if they can't really reinvent themselves being that great individuals after doing so well at the major, how are they going to reinvent themselves with less skilled players? FNS can do a lot of job in that sense and can try to put in some structure to the team, but Cloud9 functions well when they're just about to run around like chickens and shoot headshots.
Is that the same 1, 2, 3 you have, Halvar?
Yeah, that is. I probably would have put that FNS to C9 out of 5, maybe.
5?
Yeah.
And
It's nothing against FNS
Exactly.
because he's been able to build solid teams in the
Yeah.
past. We've all seen it. Like his track record is really good. It's just that Cloud9 is meant to be a top 4+ team in the world. That's their ambition, right? And that's what we saw at the major. Bringing FNS isn't in line with that.
Okay.
And that's just the reality of, I guess, the state of Counter-Strike.
Just the direction they're choosing to go with, a more structured way of playing Counter-Strike, slow-paced Counter-Strike. We see how FNS is turning complexity into the slowest playing team in the entire world. If he's going to do that again with Cloud9, with Tarek and Automatic,
Talk about wasted potential, right?
Talk about wasting potential and bringing players out of their comfort zone. He has to find a balance within that, obviously, and of course they're well aware of that as well. They wouldn't have brought him in if they didn't have a plan. But from an analytical point of view, it's just going to be tough to see how they're ever going to go into a major semi-final, or a major final for that matter, with that lineup.
I guess it's a great way of, like, if FNS is able to do something with this and they do make semifinals of majors or what have you and actually become a legitimate contender, then, all praise be. Like, then, we can never doubt him again, I guess, in that sense.
Well, maybe the players in Cloud9 will rub off on him and make sure that he can learn how to play a faster style. We'll be actually seeing that up next. We're going to go to a quick break. When we return, it is going to be Cloud9 with FNS. And with Skadoodle still, they're going to be taking on Dignitas. Stay tuned.
Incendiary out.